Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going through the BBL SuperCoach and naming my must-haves for round one. This will probably change given that whenever I say something within about a couple hours, it looks likely that it changes. We saw yesterday that I did the BBL news update and then flash, Ashton Turner injured. We had Hassan Khan, which we sort of knew. I sort of had rumors of it. I just completely forgot about it because it wasn't named. I saw an article about it like a week or two ago about that, and so that came out of the, not out of the blue, but sort of new flash that they would announce that. We also have the not the Glenn Maxwell, the talking about the stars, the Peter Siddle announcement tomorrow, I believe, even though everyone knows that that's going to happen. So yeah, I think that this is a video timing that also came up because just a couple minutes ago, I got a text from Nathan, a DM, saying that Jordan Buckingham is going to be potentially lining up for round one, or is a sort of a guy that is odds on for round one. And so yeah, let's just jump into this, and I think he sort of gets his name on the list at the moment. So I'm going to quickly, I think, fly through positions. I'm going to actually quickly look at my team and just show you who I think is a must-have at the moment, and then just fly through positions here. This team is a muddle of what's going to probably end up being. It's sort of just my ideas on a page, just sort of thrown out on a page, and then just sort of piece it together as you will. I think I'll probably, given we have 12 plus 5, so there's 17 guys here, I'd hazard a guess 10 to 12 are probably going to be out of this lot, are going to be in my side, and put that as that. Okay, so the must-haves. Jordan Clark, we also, this might be, I might need to actually just quickly put that screen back there. Yep, I did not want to show that direct messages on Twitter, but now that we have that sorted, we can go here. That's awkward. We will go here and just show, I think it was JG had it with his news on. He's keeping track really well on Jordan Clark here, as you see. 17 and 42. So that means that is, 59. He's priced at, what did we say, 79. So that it's not the greatest run. So I don't think you can put Joe Clark as a must-have, given that we could just have, if Inglis is named in one of the Aussie, if he's named in the second test, which I don't think he will, but he could be, that probably means that I would say that the likes of Matthew Hurst is almost a must-have, but then again, you can go to Philippi, Clark, Seifert, etc. So I don't think there's a must-have in the starting wicket position, especially with this form for Joe Clark, even though it's in the Caribbean, which is a little bit different condition-wise than Australia. So I don't think there's any starting where you keep them must-haves. Bench keeper, I think Doran's a must-have. I don't think Harper plays, and I just think you can save the 20k. And if Harper does play, he's batting 7 and not keeping. So, like, do you really want a guy batting 7? It's like, do you really want him or Nielsen? That's the only guys that I think are 58k that are keeper anyway. So you may as well just go straight down to wicket keeper. Let's just go down here and just go to here. So you've got Gilks, not going to play. Sam Harper, going to play but average like 10 or 20. And then Harry Nielsen, going to do pretty much the same. So you might as well just go down to Doran. That's why he's going to be a must-have, I believe. So there's that. Then we get to the batters. And the batters are very, very interesting. I'm actually going to put Matt Short in the must-have position. Even though I did a video saying that he wasn't a must-have and that I was going to fade him. With all the chaos that's happening, with Maxwell being out, or potentially out, with Webster being out, or potentially out, as well as other guys being called up, down, whatever. I just think that there's no real way you can get to Matt Short without stuffing up your whole team, and you're an injury away from not having Matt Short round 2. Because if we look at the batters line, because you're not going to really take it from the bowlers line, you're not going to trade Maxwell to Short. Let's be real here. Not many people are going to do that. That's just a waste of a trade, in my opinion, given that you need Maxwell back round 3 and you're just flip-flopping. That's not a good trade. Not many people are going to have Steve Smith because he's not going to be available. You're not going to trade Jamie Overton to Matt Short. You're not going to trade Chris Lynn to Matt Short. You're not going to start Paul Walter and trade him to Matt Short, given he has the double in round 3. You're not going to trade Aaron Hardy. You're not going to trade Michael Nisa. You're not going to trade Alex Carey. You may trade Bo Webster, but that would be almost similar to Matt Short. And by that point, you're already at 164K. So 164K, you got to make up 140K. How are you going to do that when you're not going to trade, you're not going to start a Daniel Sams, you're not going to, where the, like, you could get Seifert down to a Philippi or a Pearson, that's 40K. That is 40K. That isn't even enough with a boost and getting 2 other 40K guys alongside the Seifert 40K gain trades, I should say. Alongside the Seifert to Philippi or Seifert to Pearson trade, that will get you to Matt Short unless you start 100K in the bank. And that is just, at the moment, I can't see very good scenarios more than about 25K in the bank. So that's why I'm saying Matt Short is a must-have for round 1 of the season. Because and if we go back to Google Sheets, the Google Sheets one that I have, and I did see someone's comment that I didn't have it linked in the description or whatever, and I only had it on my Twitter, so I put it in the description now. It should be there, and I'll double check before I upload this. But if we look at the price calculator for Matt Short, say he pulls out a fat 0. That's not, there we go, it did update. He loses 31K to 272K. Now do the math with that. You still need Bo Webster, plus Bo Webster would be at 164K. He's got Bo Webster himself. If we just go to all players, let's just check here. The stars are actually on here, which makes it easier. Bo Webster's got a 164 and a 110 break even. So Bo Webster's almost got the exact same break even here as the likes of a Matt Short, but we'll just do it for the sake of the video to make it easier. Say Bo Webster goes 160. Are you really going to want to trade him? But he only goes up to 174. So you've now got 98 or something K to make up if Matt Short goes 0 and Bo Webster goes 160, which is 80 in each game. That is almost the best case scenario for your Webster to Short trades, and you still have to make 100K up, which you can do that with like 20, 30K in the bank, as I said, but that's about the most that most people are going to have it in the bank. Then you still got to do about 70, 80K outside of that. 70, 80K is Tim Seifert down to a Philippi / Pearson, and then also trying to get like a 100K guy down to 60K, which there's not many 60Ks that I like anyway, and a lot of the 100K guys, you really want to generate that cash gen over some weeks. So, and like you also need to get rid of those 80K guys like potentially Stoinis, Decady, Paris, McKenzie, who else in that sort of realm there that you need to get rid of. So, because they're just there for the double and trying to make some quick cash. And there's no 40K guys that you can go down to. So that's why I'm saying that the odds are heavily stacked if you don't go for Matt Short to get to Matt Short, in my honest opinion. So that's why Matt Short is a must-have. Maxwell injured, so he's not a must-have. Steve Smith, no. Jamie Overton, don't think so. I think there are ways to get to him, and I think it's a lot easier. Like, you can go from a Seifert down to a Philippi, and then that pretty much gets you the cash to go from someone like a Bo Webster, if he does play, up to a Jamie Overton, or maybe even like a 130, 140K, a guy like a Jake Fraser-McGurk or something like that, or a Will Sutherland, and you can get them up to a Jamie Overton. That's, I think, a much, much more simpler plan and a lot easier to execute, especially if you have 20, 30K in the bank. Chris Liam Walter, no. Aaron Hardy, I think Aaron Hardy could be almost a must-have at this point. We are seeing Perth bowlers fly off, absolutely fly off the starting 11. Now you're down, you've got Jai Richardson, who is still there. I'd be worried if he injured his shoulder. You've also got Ashton Turner just recently. I don't know what injury it was, but he's erased for round 1. You've got Cooper Connolly, broken hand. You've got Ashton Agar, a shoulder, I think, as well. AC joint, was it? Or something like that. He's also now done. So Matthew Spores potentially comes in, and I don't think they'll give Matthew Spores 4 overs, which means Hardy probably gets more overs now, and he's also batting 3. I think that's almost a must-have, especially if they lose another bowler. If they lose one of the quicks, then he is definitely a must-have. But I'm putting him in a pretty much must-have, almost a pretty much must-have, I would say. Nessa, Carey, no Webster. I don't think Webster's a must-have given that he's in the Oz squad at the moment. No, none of these guys. I don't think Seifert's a must-have because of that price. I think Tom Curran is a must-have. And the only reason he might even be on the thumbnail. I just want to double check if he's actually on the thumbnail or not. He is on the thumbnail. Okay, I did find a stars picture for him. Yeah, he is on the thumbnail. He is a must-have just because of that price. And 152k for a guy that's going to bat 6 or 7 and bowl 4, bowl at the death as well. He could easily pull a 20 off 10 and 2 for 40, and suddenly you're looking at him scoring the junkiest 90 that you've seen. That is how easy it is for him to pull a 90 for just getting a 2 for 35, 2 for 40, and a 20 off 10. Like, that is the way he's going to get 90s just like that. Duckett's unavailable. Finn Allen, don't think he's a must-have at the moment. Mitch Marsh, no. Test squad, Fen, no. None of these guys I don't think are must-haves. Let me just continue scrolling. Jack Edwards, I don't think he's a must-have, but I think he's almost in that category, given the Sixers are also flying down. Their injuries and stuff like that, as well as unavailabilities, are going down as well. If Abbott is unavailable, he almost becomes a must-have. But we've also seen games where he just doesn't do anything, so not there. Sutherland probably would be a must-have if he was as fit as Jack Edwards was at this point, because he's got the round 1 double. But he doesn't, so simply put, he is not a must-have at this point. But he's a wait and watch if he is fit, because if he is fit, then I'd be going to him over the likes of Jack Edwards, just because if he's fit and getting 4 overs and batting 7, that's almost as good as Tom Curran. That's how we're talking. And you get him for 20k cheaper. Then none of these guys I don't think are must-haves, to be honest with you. Bethel would be if he was playing, but he's not, round 1. I don't think any of these guys are must-haves. Wait and watch on Hayden Kerr. I think he's probably the closest out of this. Him and Brown, depending on team makeup, I think is the wait and watch on those two. And then no one else from the batters side of things I don't think is a must-have. Stoinis probably is a must-have, I think, at this point. He's all probably pushing into the must-have territory just because of the chaos that's going to happen, and he's at 84k, so he's sort of just your flex type position guy that he could score 0, he could score 70 very, very easily in a game. So yeah, you just want him to have that. If he can have a 40 off 20 game and then pick up 1 for with the ball, that right there is an 85 right there, and that's probably verging on 90, 95 anyway. So yeah, if he can have a 40 off 20 in one of the games in this round 1 double, then we are absolutely in the money for him. Because if we simply just go here, Marcus, Stoinis, and then we go, say he has a 40 off 20, that's going to be, let me just go here. That's going to be what, 40 plus 25, so that's going to be 65. Say he has a 1 for 25 off the ball off 3, no strike rate bonus. Say he has 5 dot balls, that's also a wicket in there. So say if with all the he bowls a couple of extras as well as gets it to 5 plus 5 in terms of the dot balls minus extras, so that's a 25 there. That's already a 90. So say he goes 90, but then also has say 90, and then also scores say 20 in the other game or 15 in the other game, then suddenly he's on a 105. Let me get rid of that. A 105 plus with all his attributes here, you'll see a 105 is gets him 12k up to a 96, and we said that he had 1 good game and 1 bad game there effectively for a 105. So that's why I think Stoinis is almost a must-have territory with all the injuries for the Melbourne Stars. Going down the list on the batters further, Ashton Turner probably would have made this category if he wasn't injured, but now he is, so he gets replaced by Aaron Hardy, as we said. Matt Renshaw probably in the must-have, I think, at this point as well. And then a sneaky little James Bazley. Has just made the must-have almost territory. And that's because there is a belief in me, as well as some other content creators, that the likes of Brendan Doggett will stick around with the Aussie squad for the MCG test. There is a sneaky suspicion that they may rest Mitchell Starc for that, or they'll keep Brendan Doggett on standby for the MCG test, and therefore Buckingham in the squad as well as Henry Thornton. And if they go Fabian Allen, there might be just another seamer spot there for an all-rounder in James Baisley to knock out like a Weatherald or an Alex Ross, and then suddenly he lines up there. And we know how he scores when he gets game time. So he's a guy that I'm just tempting fate almost at this point and just saying he's done it before. If he can get that slot, if he starts round one, if he's playing round one, he's a must-have, I think, at that price. So that's what I would say with that. Matt Renshaw, definitely a must-have. Batting 3, potentially gets an overall 2 with the Nessa injury, I think, as well. So, yeah, I think he is a must-have at this point as well. And then no one else here. I think Spores is a wait and watch just with all the injuries. I don't think he's a must-have. And then we have the Jake Doran down there as well. And then Sam Conscious, he went off yesterday for the Prime Minister's 11, but I don't think he gets game time. Will Salzman might play round 1, but if he does, I don't think he is necessarily a must-have because Shafane Rutherford, I think, can come back in I think it's 6 or so and be that finisher. But Will Salzman has bowling potential as well. So we'll just see with all the injuries there. Then we get to the bowlers quickly here. The bowlers are, I don't think, as many must-haves. No, I don't think so. Just scrolling through here, don't think there's any must-haves as much. We already talked about these sort of top-end guys because they're all-rounders. Fergus O'Neill, we did see that piece about, who was it? Kane Richardson. And with regards to him, he had played 6 games for Gold Coast in the T20 Blast or whatever you want to call that, in the Queensland T20 comp, which is actually a pretty high quality T20 comp. You have a lot of WA, South Australian, New South Wales, Tasmanian guys go up for that tournament alone that are top end Prem players plus also state players themselves. So the teams are actually relatively stacked with 4 or 5 like state or high end, really high end Prem talent that are like that are outside of Queensland players, and then you add the Queensland players in, and then you get a very, very stacked sides. So Kane Richardson did all right there. He didn't do outstanding. He probably contributed about 30 points a game, I think I calculated it at, which is sort of around what he's priced at. So we'll see what happens there. But I think Fergus O'Neill, I'm surprised he didn't get the call up to the test squad. So there is a wait and watch if he does get called up for the MCG test, because he could get called up for Boxing Day. But yeah, he's been on fire recently, and I think he's almost a must-have at 107k. If we look at this and we split the difference here, well, we can also just look at his break-even. He's priced at 36. Like, 36, I sort of expect him to be that sort of 48, 49 guy. And if he can get off to a really good start and really tear it open in his first couple games, he could easily go 120, 130 in the first game or two and generate 10, 15k. And 10, 15k generated from him gets you straight to potentially even a Fabian Allen or something like that, and then you're just laughing at that point. So that's what I would be looking at there with Fergus O'Neill, is just, I think he's a guy that at 107.5k is almost a must-have. I wouldn't say he is one. Then I think the bowler that is the most must-have is Henry Thornton, just because of the chaos with the Adelaide Strikers. He's the only fit one, it sounds like, that isn't going to be named for Australia or named in the squad for Australia. So he's the only fit fast bowler, effectively. Him and Jamie Overton. And Jamie Overton, I guess, isn't really exactly 100%. So he's almost guaranteed to get 4 overs. And we saw what he did against the Thunder. And he lines up against the Thunder. So I really do like this one particularly well, to be honest with you. At 98k, I think he's got potentially 60, 70k of upside, and you can almost just hold him because he's almost considered a bench player that will transition to that bowler 5 or bowler 4 once you get all those like Melbourne Renegades, Melbourne Stars plays out the window. So yeah, I think that's just a good buy there. And then we already talked about Stoinis. Then you have probably 2 of the last guys that I think. Riley Meredith, I think he's almost a must-have as well. I don't think he's as nailed on as like Henry Thornton and Adam Zampa when we talk about him. But I think he's a really, really good guy to have just because, I think he's a guy that can go back to 40s and 45s, etc. that we've seen in the past. In 22-23 he went 46, the year before that 44, and the year before that 43. So he's done it massively years before that, and 64 the year before that. So his only real bad campaign was 23-24. I think he also dealt with injuries in that campaign. So, yeah, I think he's a guy he bowled well in the T20 Blast in England, so I think he's a guy that can generate 40, 45 points per game. So I think he's almost a must-have, especially on the bench where we need cash gen and we don't really have the bowlers. Adam Zampa, I think, also is a must-have just because he's got the really early doubles, as well as the fact that he's priced at 27, and he's also had a really good lead-up as well, leading into the tournament, whereas last year he actually had to sit out games because he was just so tired from all the tournaments that he was playing, mostly for Australia. But we've seen him average almost double that in season before, so I think he can get back to even just low 40s, and low 40s would be a plus 17, 18, which is about 50k. Paris there, I don't think he's a must-have. No one else here. I don't think McKenzie is a must-have either, just because we know Osama Mir is coming back, and that role security, we know it's early on, it's good, but then flips in round 3, I think. So, yeah, I don't really rate that, to be honest with you. Spores already talked about him, and then we get down to just one last guy I wanted to talk about. Buckingham, as I said in the introduction, I think he's a guy that will turn up in a lot of teams in the next week or two as we lead into BBL SuperCoach, just because I think he's firming up to play round 1, and I think he's a guy that if he can get over his hairline fracture in his rib or whatever, he wasn't part of the side strain crew because he needed Josh Hazelwood to replace him. So I think he gets up and I think he plays, and at 39.5k, that's literally a wicket will get him to a 23-24, and a 23-24 if we just go to here, and then we go Jordan. I'm gonna mess it. Buckingham, hopefully I didn't mess that up. Let me make this bigger as well. 39.5k. If he goes to 25, he goes up 3.6k. If he takes 2 wickets, because that'll be most likely 45, he goes up 9.6k. If he then has a double, he's probably also going to have like a negative break even the week after that. Let's just say he has a negative like 10 break even. Let's just counteract that. Or maybe like he's probably going to have a double chance on a 13 as well. Let's just say that, because double game would be that. And say he goes and scores a 70 in the double. So not only is he priced at about 49k for the double, he's then going to go up 17k. So suddenly he's at, what do we say? He's suddenly at 65, 70k, just like that. And you've just made 30k just straight off him, just straight like that. And if he does that continue for like 2 or 3, even just by round 5, you'll see him sit at 100k and you'll be like, oh, that's cash that you can downgrade straight to like a Will Salzman or someone like that. Or even one of there's other 39.5k guys that you can get down to that probably won't play at that point, given that the Oz guys are coming back, which will further strengthen squad, so then suddenly you've just made 60k off 4 or 5 rounds, and he's realistically only had to play 2 out of the 5 rounds. So that's why he's almost a must-have territory. But anyway, I think that's all that I have for you guys today as I went through the wicketkeepers, batters and bowlers, and the must-haves. I think I ended up with 6 or 7 must-haves, which are all, I think 5 or 6 of them are definitely in my squad at the moment, and I think Buckingham's he's a must-have if he turns up for round 1. It's just if he gets up for round 1. Simple as that. But anyway, that's the video there. If you did enjoy it, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload on YouTube. And if you're listening along, I should say, on Spotify, give me a follow and so that you know when I upload over there. And if you want to hear all my tweets, especially if you want to keep up with the ever-changing news, as I only do upload every sort of week or so on the news updating, which I'll definitely do another one about that when we get all these, because we're going to have 2 more signings, probably another injury or 2 by that point as well, that we already know of, that I didn't highlight yesterday's news video. So that, alongside probably another 2 or 3 injuries that will pop up in the time. Follow my Twitter as well as all the other SuperCoach guys that you sort of know already. But if you don't, I can highlight, well, you'll probably see them in my tweets that I'll post over the next week or so in the lead up to BBL SuperCoach. But anyway, that's the video, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for another BBL SuperCoach video. Bye, guys.